Hello, hello, guys. Welcome back. We are starting a new week and we are finishing up, getting close to the end of Unit 2. So let's go ahead and go here. How I got here, if you don't know, is when you log into the OLS, on the left-hand side, you see schedule and classes. Right below the class, right below the schedule, click on class. Then it takes you to a page where it has all of your classes. Click on the purple ELA class. And right here at this top bar, we're going to want to go to content. Okay, we are doing lesson 2.14 Gibberish and Hype. And we always start off with our learn first before we take our assessment. So we're going to go to lesson introduction. Gibberish and Hype introduction. The power of exaggeration. Have you ever told someone that you had a million hours of homework or that your mom talked to you forever? Did you really mean a million hours of forever? Of course not. Instead, you were trying to make a point by using exaggerated language. Poets also use exaggeration as well as other figurative techniques to express meaning or convey an emotion. In this lesson, we will check out some instances of poets using exaggerated and nonsense language to convey mood or main idea. And as always, we're going to go to slide 2. And that's where we're going to find our student guide. Be sure that you download the student guide. It goes over the lesson objectives, what you're going to be learning. It has materials such as graphic organizers, and in this case, it does have the poem Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll, and it has new vocabulary that you may need to know, such as in this case, hyperbole, an intentional exaggeration for emphasis or comic effect. All right, let's go ahead and download our graphic organizer. I'm sure it's going to be the same that we have every time we read a selection, but we're going to go ahead and open that. And we want to click on this yellow enable editing button so that we can type right on it. Okay. And we're going to figure out what genre it is. In this case, it's going to be poetry. That's what we're studying. We're going to make predictions based on the title, Jabberwocky. What do you think that's going to be about? What is the setting? Who is telling the story? Do we have a narrator or a character telling the story? What conflicts? Is it man versus man, man versus self, etc.? How are those conflicts resolved? Were any passages difficult to understand? List them there. Vocabulary, such as hyperbole, you can write that there. Summarize the plot of the story. What happened? What is the theme or main idea of the text? How does the author create the theme? Through characters, actions, symbolism, figurative language, dialogue, etc. Give examples. Describe each character. What are they like? How do they speak? How do they interact with others? And some examples of literary elements. Do you see any figurative language such as simile, metaphor, stereotype, personification, etc.? And then any words that you didn't understand, how it was used, and then when you look it up in the online dictionary, what was the meaning? All right, so I'm just going to put that off to the side for now. And then I'm also going to open up our selection, which is Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll. Lewis Carroll is also most well known for writing The Adventures of Alice in Wonderland. And that opened up on my second page. So let me just bring it over so you can see it. I'm going to go ahead and click this enable editing, although we may not need to write on this one. But that is the story. So when it asks us to read the story, we have it. All right, I'm going to pull that back on my second screen and go back to my first tab here. And we are going to continue on to Module 1. Nonsense poetry. You are going to read a poem by Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. This poem, called Jabberwocky, is best described as a nonsense poem. Besides being a fun poem to read, you will see that there are some characteristics of nonsense poetry that can be found in Jabberwocky. Nonsense poetry often features absurd or ridiculous characters. Nonsense poetry may involve characters doing strange things. Nonsense poetry often use meaningless words created for just that poem. So now we're going to read Jabberwocky, and again, it has us another link there, and we're going to use our graphic organizer. So fill out that graphic organizer as I read to you. Uh-oh, it's not coming up on top. Alrighty then. Well, we'll just download it again. That's fine. We can do that. Oh, it's taking me to the Young Literature. So there, you can also find it in there. Remember that we're in Poetry and Persuasion if you click on this link. And it may be faster to go to the index of authors and titles. So we're looking for, let's see, Carol Lewis, 409, 411. So let's look at 409 first. 409, this is how we use an index. Good use of this right here. And there it is. 409 is Jabberwocky. All right, so here we go. Here is the poem Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll. 'Twas bryling and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the booragooves and the momy wraths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwocky, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the jub bird, and shun the fumarist bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the manxome foe he sought. So rested he by the tatum tree, and stood a while in thought. As is an uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock with eyes of flame came whiffling through the tulgey wood and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vorpal blade went snicker snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. Okay, so looking at our this went forward this time. Our fill in the blank here. So what genre? Well, obviously it's poetry. It's a poem. Based on the title Jabberwocky, what do you think this is going to be about? I would put a big question mark, because I don't know about you, but until I read this poem in high school, I didn't know what a Jabberwocky is. I still don't to this day. What is the setting? Okay, well, it looks like it's outdoors mostly. Maybe the Wabe. This is kind of a questionable poem. It has a lot of words that aren't real words. Like, I don't know of any. Wabe. Gimble is a word, and gyre is a word, but I don't know if they're being used in the same way that we normally hear. Mimsy is considered a word, but bargobes, I've never heard of bargobes. And outgrabe, never heard of that one. I've heard of wraths, but usually that wraths that I'm associating it with started with WR. So I don't know. Who is telling the story? Do we have a character telling the story or a narrator? Well, in this case, we can tell we have a narrator. What conflicts? Well, apparently what we can get from this is that the Jabberwocky I don't know if I'm spelling it. The Jabberwocky is a fierce animal that the narrator, I guess, killed. kills, slays. How are those conflicts resolved? Well, narrator. Goodness, I cannot type today. The narrator kills the Jabberwocky with his sword. Were any passages difficult? I'm gonna be like, all because of its use of made up words. That's what's difficult for me. I don't know about y'all. Use vocabulary. Okay, you do not have to look up all these because believe me, they're not all real words. But you might put a few in there that just point out to you, like Bandersnatch. We could tell that the Vorpal sword, Vorpal is describing the sword. What Vorpal means is beyond me, but maybe put out a few like those in there. Summarize the plot of the story. Again, go back, tell me what happened. What is the theme or main idea of the text? Beware the Jabberwocky? I don't know. You tell me. How does the author create the theme? Using character action. Do you see any symbolism in here? All we know is that the Jabberwocky, he bites, he has claws that catch. And then it says, beware of the Jubjub bird and shun the Frumrus Bandersnatch. So again, you don't want to run into a Jubjub bird or a Bandersnatch. You might need your Vorpal sword if you run upon those. Wow. Okay. Just fill these out the best you can. Again, these are just for your notes to help you on the quiz. All right, moving on back to the next one. Okay, so we've read the Jabberwocky. There's no more slides, so we're going to move on to Module 2. Listen to Jabberwocky being read aloud. Okay, so I'm not going to read it to you. Listen to this one. I may have mispronounced some of the words. They may pronounce them different. Again, they're made up words, so people use different phonemic rules to pronounce things. But pause the video here. Listen to it read Jabberwocky to you. Once you've done that, you're ready to move to, looks like Module 3. How well did you understand Jabberwocky? Complete the activity to check your understanding of the poem. All right. Who is the speaker in Jabberwocky? Is it a storyteller, the main character, the hero's father? All right. Click on your answer. Check your answer. So I'm going to click on, I believe it's the storyteller. Yep, I was correct. So what you want to do here is now you want to go down to your windows. You want to open a Word document. I think I saved my one from 13. You should open up the one that saved from, I pulled the wrong thing. Hold on, give me a second. I've got so many things going on here. Okay, it's not, let me pull, okay, there it goes. All right, so I want to look and see if I have the 13. Did I save it? I may not have saved it. I may not have saved it. But if you save the 13 one, pull that one back up. If you need to create a new one, then go to new. And it should be titled 13, review document 13 and 14, but I'll just put review or ELA. We want to put ELA. OLS 2.14. All right, we're going to start with number 1, and then we're going to click on this, the question, right-click, copy. Hold on, I'm going to lose it every time because it's not big enough. Give me just a second, guys. Okay, I'm going to have to make that a little bit bigger. So that I can easily find it when I need to. Okay, let's see if this will be big enough, and then I'll be able to find it. Okay, and hit right click, and you want to do this middle clipboard so it comes in right there. And then we want to do answer, A colon for answer, and then I'm going to click over here, right click copy, come back over here, right click, and do that middle one again for paste, and then EX for explanation. So I'm going to come down here to the explanation, right click it till it highlights it all. Right click and click copy. Come back over here. Go back up where my cursor is, right click, and again that middle one. And then you want to hit enter, backspace back, till you're ready for number 2. So every time you see a multiple choice question, it would be a good idea to copy and paste that into your review document. All right, move on to the next one. What is the purpose of the following stanza? 'Twas Bryling and the slithy stoves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. On mimsy were the borogoves and the Montmiraths outgrabe. A, the stanza has no purpose. B, the stanza describes a character. Or C, the stanza sets the scene. And I'm going to do these with you because Jabberwocky is so crazy. So I will do all these with you. It doesn't have any purpose. We don't know what a lot of these words are, but we know 'twas. 'Twas is usually telling us the beginning of a story, how something looks. It usually has to do with telling the setting. So it sets the scene. And we know that from the 'twas. 'Twas Bryling and slithy toves. We don't know what Bryling, I know slithy is a word. Toves, to my knowledge, is not a word. Do not use these when you're playing Scrabble because they only exist in this one poem, Jabberwocky. Let's check and see if I'm right. Yes. Even though the poet uses nonsense words, we can see how he is setting the scene of the story. So, copy and paste your question, the correct answer, and the explanation into that review document. Pause the video if you need to. Come back when you're done. All right, moving on to the next question. What happens at the end of Jabberwocky? A, the hero is killed by the Jabberwock. B, the hero kills the Jabberwock. Or C, the hero gets scared off by the Jabberwock. So what do you think happens at the end? Put your answer. Check your answer. I'm going to put that the hero kills the Jabberwock. That is correct. The poet is describing a young man using his sword to kill the monster, the Jabberwock. So again, highlight the question, copy and paste into your review document, highlight the answer, the correct answer, copy and paste into your review document, highlight the explanation, copy and paste into your review document. You may pause the video if you need to, come back when you've completed that. All right, now that you've gotten all 3 of these multiple choice questions copied and pasted into your review document, we're ready to go to slide 2. Interpreting Jabberwocky. There is no doubt that some of the words in the poem Jabberwocky are nonsense words made up by Lewis Carroll specifically for this poem. But if you examine the context of the words, you can actually interpret what they mean. 'Twas Bryling. Okay, Bryling. Bryling sounds almost like brilliant. Might be able to assume that the poet is describing a bright, sunny day. And the slithy toves. Slithy toves seems to describe some kind of living thing. Slithy sounds like slimy. So maybe the toves are insects or slimy animals. Did gyre and gimble in the wabe. Gyre and gimble. We know that the slithy toves are gyring and gimbling. Since we already have decided that this is taking place on a sunny, brilliant day, Let's assume that gyre and gimble refers to some kind of playing or dancing. All mimsy were the Beauregards. Mimsy sounds like whimsy, again confirming the idea that this is a happy scene. Beauregards. There isn't really much context to help us interpret Beauregards. However, since they are being mimsy, we can assume that they are some kind of living creature. And the Mame Raths outgrabe. This is very little context here to help us interpret these words. However, since Mame Raths are two separate words, we can guess that the word Mame is describing the Raths. Outgrabe sounds like it is the past tense, so it is something the Mame Raths may have already done. Even though some words are impossible to interpret literally, we could put enough of them together to decide that this is a pastoral scene. Knowing that this poem was written as part of the Alice in Wonderland series, you can even picture how this setting might appear. So again, if you're going back in your graphic organizer, it is a pastoral scene. It's set in a pastoral scene. That's what you can put there. Number 3, Lewis Carroll, figurative language in Jabberwocky. Lewis Carroll uses many different figurative language techniques to bring his poem to life. Alliteration is using words that start with the same letter in succession. Examples of alliteration in Jabberwocky include the combination of words such as gyre and gimble, claws and catch, Tatum and tree. Okay, put that in your graphic organizer underneath figurative language. Did gyre and gimble in the wabe? The claws that catch. So rested by the Tatum tree. Use those as examples of alliteration. Slide 4, once you've got those in your graphic organizer. Onomatopoeia is using words that sound like what they are. Words such as burbled, whiffling, galumphing. Those nonsense words seem to sound like the action they are describing. Come whiffling through the tulgey wood and burbled as it came. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. Again, copy and paste those into your graphic organizer under figurative language and title it that portion onomatopoeia. Examples of onomatopoeia. All right, when you've done that, we're ready to move on to Module 4. Learn Gibberish and Hype 4. Using exaggeration as a tool. Exaggeration in writing or hyperbole, which is an intentional exaggeration for emphasis or comic relief, can be an effective tool for a poet to use. It gives the reader a sense of just how big or how old or how many the author is trying to convey. Think back to the beginning of the lesson. How often do you use exaggeration to express a point? Pay attention as Dakota talks about hyperbole in Roberta Burns' poem, A Red, Red Rose, and then reads the poem out loud. As you're listening, pay close attention to the poet's use of hyperbole to create an image or make a point. Okay, I'm not going to play it because it won't come across on here. So stop the video here while you watch the Dakota read A Red, Red Rose. Come back when you're done. All right, now that you have watched Dakota and you've had the Red, Red Rose poem read to you, let's go on to slide 2. Where's it? Next. Back, okay. A closer look. Let's examine some uses of hyperbole. And hyperbole, again, is an intentional exaggeration for emphasis or comic relief. Till if these seas gang dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun, I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands o' life shall run. What is the purpose? Okay, so we've got a seas, all the seas gang dry. Here the poet is telling his love that he will love her until the seas go dry. Rocks melt with the sun. This is another instance of hyperbole. The poet is telling his love that he will love her until the rocks melt with the sun. While the sands of life shall run. Finally, he tells her that he will love her until the sands of life have run out. What is the purpose of the use of hyperbole in this stanza? Examine how exaggeration is used throughout the stanza. What is the common theme with all of the instances of hyperbole? Well, how great is his love? Of course. Slide 3. Check for understanding. Now check what you've learned from Robert Burns's A Red, Red Rose. What is the purpose of using hyperbole in this poem? A, to show a real measurement of the speaker's love. B, to show the depth of the speaker's love. Or C, to confuse the reader. Click on your answer. Check your answer. Once you know the correct answer, copy and paste the question, correct answer, and explanation into your review document like I showed you previously. Please pause the video and come back when you are done. All right, now that you've got that in your review, let's go to the next one. Which of the passages illustrates Burns' use of hyperbole? A, I will love thee still, my dear, till the seas gang dry. B, the fare thee well, my only love, and fare thee well a while. Or C, oh, my love's like a melody that's sweetly played in tune. Which of the passage illustrates as Burns' use of hyperbole? Click on your answer. Check your answer. Once you know the correct answer, copy and paste the question, correct answer, and explanation into your review document. Please pause the video and come back when you're done. All right, last question. How does the use of figurative language affect the meaning of this poem? A, it makes the reader think the speaker is unreliable. B, it helps the reader understand just how in love the speaker is. C, it does not have any effect on the meaning of the poem. Click on your answer. Check your answer. Once you know the correct answer, copy and paste the question, correct answer, and explanation on your review document. Pause the video and come back when you're done. All right, now that you've gotten all 3 of those into your review document, we're ready to go to slide 4. Understanding hyperbole. Do you understand Burns's use of hyperbole in the poem A Red, Red Rose? Answer the questions about the poem. Again, you might want to copy and paste these questions and their answers into your review document. What is the purpose of using hyperbole in this poem? Let's see if your thinking is correct. Hyperbole is an exaggeration. It is used to create a larger-than-life effect and to emphasize an idea. Based on that, this is the purpose of hyperbole, especially in the last 3 stanzas of the poem. So be sure that you copy that question and answer into your review document. Number 2, what are some of the passages in which the poet uses hyperbole? Some of the passages using hyperbole occur in stanzas 2 through 4. Search for examples of exaggeration. Be sure you copy and paste that question answer. And if you find examples, go ahead and put those examples in there. Number 3, how does the use of figurative language affect the mood and meaning of this poem? The author uses hyperbole, imagery, and simile. This use of figurative language helps emphasize the meaning of the poem. For example, consider the lines, and I will love thee still, my dear, till the seas gang dry. The speaker is describing the depth of his love. In order to do this, he uses hyperbole to show the exaggerated feelings he has for the subject of the poem. Be sure that you copy all of those questions and answers excuse me, before moving on. You may pause the video and come back when you've completed this. All right, slide 5, Gibberish and Hype 4. Poetic devices. Excuse me one second. I need a lozenge. Poets choose elements such as sentence structure, line length, and punctuation to help emphasize the meaning and structure of their poems. Poets choose these poetic devices carefully. When you're reading a poem, you can assume that the poet wrote things exactly as he or she wanted them. Read the passage from Burns' A Red, Red Rose. Oh, my love's like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love's like the melody that's sweetly played in tune. So fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas gang dry. This half of the poem is written in ballad form. Notice how the second and fourth lines of each stanza rhyme. June, tune. I, dry. Additionally, notice the punctuation in these stanzas. Instead of a period after each line, there is a punctuation that indicates continuing ideas. Commas and colons. This means that each line is part of a single sentence and a single idea. See, instead of ending with a period, ends with colons and commas. Wait, let me go back and make sure I went through all things. Yeah. Slide 6, change in form. Now read the second half of Burns's poem. To all the seas gang dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun, I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. And fare thee well, my only love, and fare thee well a while, and I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 mile. This half of the poem changes from ballad form to common form. Now, instead of just the second and fourth lines rhyming, the first and third lines rhyme as well. So dear, dear, sun and run, love and love, while and mile. Also consider the punctuation in the last stanza. Now, each of the 4 lines is not part of a single idea. Instead, there is a final punctuation in each of the first 2 lines. Right here, and right here. Only this one has a comma. Why do you think Burns changes form and punctuation? Sorry, guys, hold on. I'm going to have to pause the video and start. Hold on, give me just a second. Okay, I think this is where we picked up at. Also consider the punctuation in the last sentence. Yes. Why do you think Burns changes form and punctuation in the second half of the poem? The first half of the poem describes how the speaker feels about the subject of the poem. The second half emphasizes the depth of the speaker's emotions and adds a twist. In the very last stanza of the poem, the reader finds out, despite his feelings, the speaker is actually leaving his love. Burns uses the poetic devices such as change in form and punctuation, emphasizes this change in content. So you might want to copy and paste that question and answer into your review document. Once you have everything copied and pasted and all the notes taken that you would like, you're ready to move on to Module 5. Lesson check. Check your knowledge. Poets use figurative language to convey mood and meaning in their poems. Some examples of figurative language are simile, hyperbole, metaphor, personification, and imagery. Answer the following questions to check your knowledge. Again, I would copy and paste these questions and their answer in that review document before you take the quiz. What is a hyperbole? Do you remember? Let's see. Hyperbole is the careful use of exaggeration to make a point. Definitely need to have that copied and pasted in your notes. What is personification? Do you remember? Personification is giving human qualities to non-human objects. Be sure that you copy and paste that question answer into your review document. What is imagery? Imagery is the use of vivid language to create pictures in the minds of the reader. So be sure and copy and paste that question and answer, all three of those. Before you complete the quiz, review your work so far. So pull up those graphic organizers. Remember, this one is also going to cover the OLS lesson 113. So go ahead and pull up those poems and the stuff that you saved from 113 as well, so that you can use on your quiz. So when you click this forward arrow, it's going to take you to your quiz. Be sure and don't click on this until you are ready to take it, because it will use it as one of your tips. Remember, you have a total of 3. All right. If you have any questions, come see me in open office, call me. That is the end of this video. I will see you next time when we go over to 15. Y'all have a great day, and I hope you found this video helpful.